Today, flying solo. I'm all by myself. I get to run the show. No Nick or anything.
It's the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator from the Locked On Podcast Network, live here in Dallas, Texas. I'm joined in person once again, as always, by my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com.
This is
What you got for me,
right now.
What you got for
He's
me?
here. He's in person. He's in my house. Honestly, this is one of the jankiest setups we've ever done.
Can you
for
hear
a
my
podcast.
chair?
So, have you informed the public about your move?
I have not, but today is the best day to do it. I have moved back. I'm finally back in Dallas, Texas. It took 3 years. We're here.
I need the soundboard. Woo!
And my house is an incredible jungle of boxes right now. And so I decided to come over and do a live pod with Isaac. And we're doing a mailbag today.
We are, and we have all of our questions. If you're watching on YouTube right now, if you're just listening to the podcast, you got to open up YouTube just for this podcast so you can see us in person because we're crammed behind my little desk with Dirk behind us, Mavrello behind us, some bobbleheads, and we're going to party today. But we asked Nick asked on Twitter today, hey, what are some questions you guys have for the offseason? You got a good amount of replies. So I decided to pick out some of my favorites, write them down, cut them up, and put them in a cup that is Chip
from Beauty and the Beast.
There you go. I didn't even know who Chip was from Beauty and the Beast. And I'm going to draw names out. Actually, not names. I'm going to draw questions out and read them to us. And then we're going to answer them.
We're excited. Today's episode is brought to you by Locker Room. Locker Room, changing the way we talk sports. We'll go on there live at some point this week. Isaac Harris, hit me with our first mailbag question about the Mavs offseason, NBA playoffs. Literally could be about anything, but I'm assuming it's going to be all about how the Mavericks trade KP.
Oh,
we had movers help us move into our house, and one of them was a Mavs fan, and he found out I did a Mavs pod, and he didn't know what it was, so I don't know if he's that big of a Mavs fan. But then he was like, "We got to get rid of KP." He's like, "We don't. He's giving us nothing. I'd rather have." And he was like, "I'd rather have that broke guy from the Celtics." I was like, Kemba with his knees? He's like, yeah, I'd rather have that guy.
Okay, now you have sparked up a memory from mine over the past 48 hours. I had a conversation with a gentleman who super nice. I just met him over the weekend, and we started talking Mavs, and he asked me about KP. He was like, you know what? This might be unpopular. Get ready for this.
Oh, no.
He was like, but I think we just need a guy who can rebound, a guy who can just body down low.
Big.
He's like, what do you think about Hassan Whiteside?
No, stop.
And this guy's like super cool. And it took a lot in me to not like, I'm like, what? I mean, big body.
Yeah.
Big body.
Big body.
Pulls down rebounds. I just don't know if that's how low you want to go.
Talk about reaching the bottom of the barrel again.
Yes. But okay, question number 1. I don't have Twitter handles connected to these. So sorry, you're not going to get any credit for the questions. This question is, with THJ's cap hold being $28 million,
it's a lot.
do you think we ever have the full $30+ million at some point in free agency?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
I don't think so. The way that the Mavs were talking about Tim Hardaway Jr. and how much he meant to this team and how one of their priorities was to bring him back. Like, I think that Tim Hardaway Jr. will get re-signed, but it'll be quick. I think it'll be one of those real quick ones because there's not really a guy for the full $30 million this offseason just to sign outright. You can do a trade, and if you're going to do a trade, you're going to send some salary back anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to need that full $30 million in free agency. And I think Tim signs really quick, and it's like $15 million a year or something like that.
Unless you could convince a Kyle Lowry to come. Like, I'm down for giving Kyle
That's the
Lowry,
one.
like,
Him and Kawhi are kind of the only ones left that you're like, I'll think about that.
true. So we've seen the 35 number thrown out a lot.
The eye contact thing. If you're watching on YouTube, the eye contact was very strange.
This is one of my biggest questions with Nick when he was like, all right, we can pull this off. I'm like, how am I supposed to look at the camera to you guys on YouTube, but also look at Nick because we're talking to each other?
Also, the forced perspective makes it look like I'm a giant and Isaac is like a small child.
Guys, Built Bar and keto, it works. So
Look at all the weight he lost.
okay, so 35 million. We've heard that number thrown out a lot for the Mavericks. Tim, cap hold 28 million. So you're like doing the math. Also factor in Josh Richardson if he opts in.
Yeah.
Then
10.
you don't even have the 35 million.
Yeah, and for everybody listening, cap hold is a placeholder for a player that's going to be a free agent. So the Mavericks can't use 28 million because it's the cap hold for Tim Hardaway until Tim Hardaway gets signed. And that's the way that teams can sign guys over the cap, is if they keep that $28 million cap hold in place and then use it and keep it as a placeholder and then sign him over the cap while that $28 million is still there. And then obviously once you sign him, whatever number you sign him to, that's what number he is. And the $28 million kind of isn't it. The actual salary takes the place of the placeholder in the cap hold. So.
Yeah. So if they ever at some point ever reach the point in which they have over 30 million, that means they have renounced the cap hold for Tim Hardaway, which therefore means he's probably going somewhere else, or they've signed him already. Like, even if they sign him, they're not going to get 30 plus million, or he signed with another team. So,
or he signed for $5 million. Something crazy happened. He went skiing and tore his Achilles. I don't know. Also, if Josh Richardson stays, then they don't get the 30 million either.
That's very true. So here's a short version of that. If Tim is staying, they will never have 30 plus million in cap space.
They could trade somebody.
True. Very true. Are we ready for question number 2?
I guess.
Question number 2. Does Luka leave if the slander continues? And he puts this point in there because KP's slander is coming from fans. Luka's is coming from within.
I'm not buying this. No, come on. The slander is coming from within. Yeah, Donnie Nelson said he needs to be better at one thing, and that's slander all of a sudden. Like Rick Carlisle hasn't slandered him.
No.
Teammates haven't slandered him. Unless there's something more happening than just that exit interviews, I don't call that slander. And if you guys call it slander, then we've been slandering every player because we think every player can be better at something.
Yes.
So, I don't think that's the case. Also, some of this outside criticism has been so overblown because of what LeBron and what KD did. It seems like those guys only did those specific moves, the Miami move, the Golden State move, and then even leaving Golden State because of the slander they got. Those guys still have agency. They still can make their choices. Maybe it was influenced a little bit by some of that outside talk, but I think they still made those decisions for basketball reasons and for family reasons and all kinds of other stuff too. Yeah.
And what does the Mavs front office have to gain by slandering KP? Even if one, you want him, if you want him part of your future, you have to do everything right now not to slander him. And if you don't want him part of your future, you have to do everything in your power not to slander him either, because you want to keep or try to build his value. So I understand them not taking any shots at KP. I do agree that it was a little odd. We talked all about that. You can go to our pod, the XA interview pod back from last Monday, I think. Now, it was weird, Donnie's answer to that KP Luka question.
Because of how it came.
Yes. And where he chose to, we talked about that. If he said that, if he was asked a question about how Luka can improve over the offseason, then that question makes sense, or that answer makes sense. Yeah. The fact that it was a question about KP and Luka together and he went that route, a little odd, but I think he was trying to lean into hey, let's take the fire off of KP. So now, will Luka leave because of that slander? I don't know. If Luka leaves, I don't think Luka's going to step back and be like, you know what? 5 years ago, Donnie said in the exit interview
that he probably didn't even listen to because he's on a
Mac Engel wrote this story about me, and does he even know what the Fort Worth Star Telegram is?
Does he even know where Fort Worth is? Does he know Mac's first name? We do.
Theodore. Should we get Mac on the pod? We need to get Mac on the pod to talk about this.
We really should. I'm really interested in that.
Yeah. Is it time for a break?
Excellent segue.
Dad?
The segues are way better in person.
All right, let's take a break, guys.
We did not clap. Don't clap. How many we've done 1,000 episodes of this, and you just clapped into an ad break.
You're the hiring expert for your company, and what you really need is help making your short list of quality candidates. You need a hiring partner who helps make your life easier. Who do you need, Nick?
Indeed, you do.
Let's go. Indeed is the job site that makes hiring as easy as 1, 2, 3. Post, screen, and interview all on Indeed. Get your quality short list of candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. It makes connecting with and hiring the right talent fast and easy. You can choose from more than 130 skill tests. I didn't even know that many existed, but you can choose from over 130 of them. Get started right now with the free $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/locked. Get $75 credit at Indeed.com/locked. Indeed.com/locked. Offer valid through June 30th. That's coming up. That's this month, guys. Terms and conditions apply. Is the Built Bar one right now?
Dude, let's go straight into it, actually.
Straight into Built Bar. You know what we like eating? Built Bar.
We do.
What's your favorite flavor, Nick?
Oh, the coconut brownie chunk. That's the best one. I had a mint brownie one earlier today, though. It was great.
Can you still order the coconut brownie chunk, or is that?
Those go so fast. They sell out immediately. The grasshopper cookie one also sold out really, really fast. So you got to keep checking back to the website every once in a while. They'll add a new flavor. They're delicious.
Raspberry mint brownie, peanut butter brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel. You say caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Either way, it's good on Built Bar. 17 grams of protein, only 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and only 4 net carbs. Great for keto. And when you're on YouTube videos and you're kind of in the background, all of that stuff. Go to it and go to BuiltBar.com. The offer is LOCKED15. You'll get 15% off your first order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. Is this great?
The transition is
Transition.
amazing.
Let's go to question number 3. Ooh, this is a long one. This is kind of the
I am sitting way too close for you to be talking like this.
This is kind of similar to what we were talking about a little bit ago. With J. Rich's opt-in, let's just say J. Rich opts in and THJ taking up the rest of the cap. Will the Mavs operate as the over-the-cap team and try for a free agent via sign and trade?
Yeah, that was one of the options we talked about at the end of that. If they weren't going to get that full $35 million to straight up sign somebody, they could try a sign and trade option. Now, with a sign and trade, you have to sign somebody for 3+ years. And so you have to keep that in mind with anybody. You can't just straight up get like Kyle Lowry and keep him for 1 year. It has to be a little bit longer than that. A Chris Paul is also possibly a possibility, even though he's going to the conference finals with the Suns, and it doesn't seem like he's going to leave there, but that could also be a possibility. So you have to keep that in mind when you talk about sign and trades.
Yes, and I put this question there because I think it's a fascinating wrinkle to the KP stuff. Because when we talked about if Dallas goes the route of saying, hey, KP needs a fresh start, we need a fresh start. Right. And we kind of talked throughout teams and stuff the other day. But something to consider also is the sign and trade route, to where if there's a team out there that could lose maybe one of these young restricted guys, let's just say New Orleans says, we really don't want to lose Lonzo for nothing. Or Cleveland says, we really don't want to lose Jarrett Allen for nothing. Like, we gave up a little bit for him, and just to see him walk, we don't want to pay him $20 million, but we don't just want to see him walk for nothing. Could then Dallas come in and say, hey, let's work out a sign and
Would
trade?
you like a slightly used former all-star from Latvia?
But I could see it. Like, that question just made my mind start going on some of these free agents out there. I mean, you look at the D'Angelo Russell situation with, when the KD and all of that when, Brooklyn signs KD, it's like, okay, let's try to figure out a sign and trade. Golden State gets D'Angelo Russell back, which they end up turning him into Wiggins and the draft pick from Minnesota. If that draft pick turns into like a really good player, that's going to be this like back and forth, this ripple effect back. It's like how Golden State pulled that off. So anyway, I just think store that in the back of your mind that if they have KP going into free agency, that's another route that if a team doesn't want to lose Toronto, if they don't want to pay Kyle Lowry, but they don't want to lose him for nothing, what would Toronto do? If it's like, hey, we'll sign and trade Lowry for KP. Sounds weird, but if they're going to lose Lowry for nothing, would they do that? Would Dallas do that?
Yeah, both ways. I'm like, would they do that? Would either side do it? Because it seems like a Lowry, Conley, Chris Paul type would be able to unlock KP in a way that, like, I don't think you make a win now move for that, and then also take a step back by getting rid of KP. Even though I do understand KP's been bad and he's not necessarily taking the Mavs a step forward, but one of those point guards could come in and help unlock Kristaps Porzingis. So like
David Lock, or
they could locked on him. And then once they're locked on, they could unlock that lock. Also, I just want to point out, we say this every single year. Cap space isn't just about free agency. It creates possibility. You have possibility out there. These sign and trades are a possibility. The trade, you can bring back more salary than you send in a trade. That's possibility. Like, there's just so many different things you can do with cap space. It's just a tool for you to use.
Next question. Who is most likely not to be on the Mavs next season?
Josh Richardson.
Oh, that was quick. That was quick.
Our boy is gone. I can feel that one in my my bones. You're close enough to my bones. Can you confirm?
I was gonna go like a smaller route and be like Nico Melli.
You don't think so? I feel like the Mavs could find a spot for him. At the minimum,
they could find a spot. I just don't see him being back. But if we're going like a bigger name route, I feel like Josh has to be the answer, right? I mean, didn't do the exit interview. A couple guys didn't, but
yeah, Willie also. He's probably second in line. Somebody probably not coming back to Dallas.
Yeah. So for Josh, we know he was very frustrated towards the end of the season. He showed that post games. He talked about his son in the playoffs. He got replaced. Basically, I mean, they went with Trey Burke over him in the playoffs. So
yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, it's just going to be a weird situation with Josh where will he get $11 million in the open market? Probably not at this point. But what's he willing to do? Like if it's either take $11 million but come back, he might not play, or opt out and get like the full MLE at like 7, 8, but you're actually going to play for a team.
Yeah, the MLE is a really interesting option for him,
which is mind-boggling to think about. Yeah. I was the one who tweeted out like before in the preseason a picture of Josh Richardson saying Luke Kennard got what, and I'm like, he's not even gonna get close to Luke. He would be praying for Luke Kennard money at this point. So
the thing is, though, there's gonna be a lot of money. Like San Antonio is gonna have so much money. I mean, what are they gonna do with it?
That's true.
It just takes one team to overpay a guy to come there, but I don't know if Josh Richardson's that guy that people are gonna overpay.
In Miami, I'd say watch out for Miami. He had his best season there. If they strike out on something, could they come in and be like, hey, let's do a 1 year, 10, 11 million or something?
He's now we're going to go down this rabbit hole, but he's one of those players where he's like not well-known player going into college. And then he works his way up to get to be in the rotation at Tennessee. Right. And then he gets drafted second round into that Miami culture. And that really shaped him.
Heat culture.
Sorry, heat culture, not Miami culture. Miami culture, very different. So, but would he be in the league if he didn't get drafted by Miami? That's like a really interesting what if for certain players because, like, would they be there? Would they be in the league if they didn't? Would JJ Barea be in the league if he didn't get drafted by Dallas and they bring him along? And there's just so many interesting ways because certain guys will pop no matter what. Luka, he goes to any team, he's going to be incredible.
Would Kyle Kuzma still be in the league?
Is Kyle Kuzma still going to be in the league? How many times did we see a Shanghai Sharks meme about Kyle Kuzma and Aaron Gordon? I saw them paired together.
Well, you know what? If you're going to bet on Kyle Kuzma's next team, maybe those odds are on Bet Online AG. It's the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Did you like that, Dad? Are you proud?
Baseball, about to do a spit take right now.
Baseball season is in full swing. Is it really? Do we care about baseball?
They've been playing since April.
And you can track all the action at BetOnline. Get all the latest news and odds of all your sporting needs, MLB, NBA, NHL, all your UFC and MMA action. Nate Diaz in the octagon over the weekend.
They'll have that.
Before the next pitch or whatever sporting event you want to bet on, go to BetOnline on your laptop, mobile device. Check out all the latest great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Do you have some odds?
Tonight, Monday night, if you're listening, watching this, Clippers, 4.5-point favorite.
Wow.
That's interesting to me. Clippers still a favorite in that one. Donovan Mitchell, got to see what's going on with him. That's probably why. Clippers also at home. They had a pretty good bounce-back game in Game 3. Maybe this is a series that the home team wins every single game. In this one, they just flip the script on it. But, yeah, that's an interesting line. If you want to bet on that, what do they do, Isaac Harris?
Head to the website or use the mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Promo code Locked On.
All right, Isaac. I also want to tell, if anyone's a new listener, this is not the usual setup, by the way. This feels like we're like a YouTube show from 2008, like hanging out in your.
This is awesome.
In your house.
Oh, you have a question.
I have a question. I cannot read it, though. I'm going to be honest.
Is this a shot at my handwriting? Is this one of those off seasons that we need to pray that the Mavs don't do anything stupid?
Yes.
And hand a big deal to Schroeder or Lonzo Ball after missing out on Lowry?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like the last couple of years, we've given the Mavs credit a little bit for not doing anything stupid because, like, the Lakers are still paying off Luol Deng next year. You know what I mean? Like,
I think Indiana's still paying Monte Ellis.
It might be. I think Darren Williams is still getting paid by the Nets right now. But the thing is, those things matter. And so we've been giving them credit for not doing something like that, which some people would say, oh, they're supposed to not do something stupid. But a lot of teams have. This season, though, I think is a little different because they do have that money and their backs are against the wall with it because this is the last time they're going to have big money unless they can move off of KP almost entirely. And depends on what Brunson gets as well. So they do need to do something with it. So we may see an overpay. But remember what we've talked about before about guys like John Collins and other people. They may just overpay to get an asset, to get talent so that they can later down the line when they're able to trade some of those draft picks, 2025, 2027, even the one next year in 2022, they could trade. If they have that asset as a player, they could pair it with the pick and a couple of picks and then send it over for somebody of actual value.
I don't forgot what we were talking about.
We're talking about if this is the offseason that you just don't want the Mavericks to make a mistake.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing about that is I actually like both of those guys. I like
Schroeder, though, man.
I'm not going to lie. I would still like him on the Mavs for the right price. I actually have a question. But we've both been, I'd say we both, I know I have, on the Lonzo train as far as his fit in Dallas, because I think he would fit great here.
His fit would be good on paper, but I feel like it would just be another step in the DeLon Wright, Josh Richardson.
Speaking of that,
Lonzo Ball talent, like that would be the next evolution. And I don't know if it would probably be better than Josh Richardson. Most players, I think, at this point would be better, but yeah, I'm not sure. He's not a guy that can create his own shot, right? The Mavericks really need somebody like that.
Yes, I still would like his fit in Dallas, but I have the next guy that's going to be the.
Who's the ones we've talked about so far on the pod? We've talked about Gary Harris. We've talked about Lonzo Ball. Give me another one.
No, this one's the next DeLon Wright, Josh Richardson. No. And you're not ready for this.
Oh no,
Ntilikina.
No, it's not. That's a step down.
But that's going to happen, though, right? Like,
oof.
They liked him. Somebody tweeted and said about their
Lonzo
interest.
Too.
They did, yes.
But Ntilikina is more available. Knicks fans would just be so upset about that.
If he came here and was like awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Well, just came and played on the same team as Porzingis again.
Last year, did Ntilikina shoot like 2.6% from three? Or is that? No, that's carbs, because today's episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Stay tuned. No, dang it. We're not having the Ultra segment moment of the week. But either way, Michelob Ultra, you only enjoy it if you enjoy it. So
this is an all-time must-watch on YouTube episode, I'd have to say.
Incredible. Next question.
I just gymmed the camera for like 4 minutes.
What do you think about a KP Jarrett Allen front court pairing?
Oh god, a pairing is interesting. I don't think a pairing would work.
Did somebody report that? Because I got random tweets over the weekend about this.
Was it one of those
Hoop Central?
Ari Abraham copycat type special? Like there's all kinds of guys like that. Should we do our spiel again?
Did somebody have an exclusive?
Should we do our spiel again? There's only certain people you trust talking about Dallas Mavericks information. We obviously Woj, Shams, there's Mark Stein for sure. There's Brad Townsend. Tim Cato we've added in the last couple of years. So
make sure you're reading The Athletic today on Monday. Who's the Tim McMahon?
McMahon for sure. Yeah.
I mean, so there's what, a big six?
It's a big six. Shams is like, when Shams break Mavs news? Has he ever broken Mavs news since we started covering the team?
I don't think so.
Right? Like
I'd say
if he does, though, you trust it, I guess.
Callie works for Dallas Morning News, so anything she reports, you believe it. She's just still, starting off kind of in the first couple of years. Yeah. Love Callie. Callie's been on the pod, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
She's awesome. Do you have a question? Did you pull one out?
I didn't do anything.
Did you? Okay. The odds that Goran Dragic is a Mav next year.
I saw you pull up Goran Dragic on Basketball Reference, and that's one of the reasons why I like doing him in person, because I can see what you look up. The odds he's a Maverick are really – that's interesting.
Somebody tweeted at me or DM'd me saying that he retired from international ball. The other day I said on the pod, they're like, I wonder about him and Luka playing together, and they said he retired.
Yeah, now you're not going to have to wonder.
He's probably going to be around the team though, right? Maybe. Yeah,
I don't know. He may have a role or something like that. Goran on the Mavs makes a lot of sense. But I mean, he's been part of that Miami team for a little while now. Maybe he sticks around there, comes back. Percentage odds, I give it, I don't know, what, 33%?
They had their chance to get him, right? I mean,
well, they reportedly had him.
The Heat thought they were trading him there. But all indications, the Mavericks.
That's a what if? We should do that this summer.
Yeah, and the Mavericks wanted Olynyk and Derek Jones, which at the time I was like, really? And then as the season went on, I'm like, actually, they would have helped.
That would have been great.
But they kind of like bypassed Dragic then, for basically nothing. And
because the trade didn't go through.
Yeah, so if they didn't want him then, do they want him now? I would be down for it. I just would be very hesitant that he would not be the savior answer to everything.
No,
I would love the vet and next to Luka, another playmaker type. But
I mean, we've been talking about guys that were rough in the playoffs, like Schroeder. Dragic did not help the Heat in that playoff run very much.
35 years old too. So
yeah, he's not on the level of a Conley, Lowry, obviously Chris Paul. Like he's not. He would be definitely a tier, maybe two lower than those guys.
Next question. If the Mavericks don't win a title in blank years, you will be disappointed. Or I will be disappointed.
Can I just name any number? 100? I mean, if they don't win a title in 100 years.
My lifetime.
I'll be disappointed. Do I have to give the smallest number possible?
I guess it is.
That's what the question implies, but I'm not going to answer what the question implies.
What is the smallest number possible?
I mean, I think it's in Luka's next contract, right? Like in the next 6 years.
Yeah.
In the next 6 years, if they don't win a title, you'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
Titles are hard, man. Think about all the teams that have won a title recently. I mean, Lakers, Heat, Warriors.
Yeah.
Spurs. There's just not many teams that have won titles. It's just really hard to do. Mavericks in the last 10 years. By the way, that just happened over the weekend. 10-year anniversary of the Dallas Mavericks winning in 2011. So, yeah, that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, I would say 6 years. I think that's the safest amount. Even over the next couple of years, it's just so dependent on who they get. I mean, which still you can be like, I'm disappointed because they didn't get anybody to get to the finals, I guess. But
this team is not ready to win a title, right? Like this team is not built like the Jazz or the Suns yet. Like this team is not that talented yet. And everybody's complaining about the roster all year. And then they're like, oh, they can't beat the Clippers? Yes, they can't beat the Clippers yet, of course. I know Luka is way ahead of the curve, way ahead of schedule, all that kind of stuff. It's still so rare for a guy to win a finals MVP, be the best player on a team under the age of 27. It just does not happen very often. I think it was Dwayne Wade when he won in 06. Why don't you Look it up on Basketball Reference.
Yes, sir. I'm the intern.
You're not the real intern, though. The real intern is crunching numbers over there. But when did Dwayne Wade win that title? Like, Dirk was older. LeBron, Jordan was 27. Like, I was listening to KOC and Vernon on The Ringer, and they were talking about this, what age these guys were.
24.
Yeah, that was a special case. So it'd have to be a special case like that in order for him to.
I mean, he had Shaq, so.
Right. That's a special case.
Does Luka have Shaq? The answer is no.
He does not.
Speaking on that, this is the last question. The way you become a title contender is when you add a good vet. And we already mentioned his name, but this person says, do you think Kyle Lowry would be a great fit next to Luka Doncic?
Heck yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. We've been calling for Kyle Lowry for years.
Literally.
Years since they won the title. We're like, if he's not going to come back, or if he's, obviously I thought he was coming back, but if they were going to get rid of him or blow it up or do whatever they're going to do, Kyle Lowry would be a great fit. He is Draymond as a guard, as far as emotional leader, as far as not necessarily caliber of defender, but he can get everybody going on defense in the right directions and all that. He is that type of guy. And so the Mavericks desperately need somebody like that can galvanize people. It's been there before, the veteran. He can hit an outside shot. That would be great. He can get his own shot. He can set up somebody else. There's just a lot of things Kyle Lowry can do that would check he would check everything he does, checks a box for the Mavericks.
Won a title recently. Everything. Will absolutely love him next to Luka. And that's the type of move. That's what we've been waiting for. When are they going to
Chris Paul to the Suns? It's the same thing.
Which I was skeptical on the beginning of the season. Nick was like, hey, Chris Paul, he's going to go. Like, you were all about Chris Paul having another type of year. I was like,
I didn't have them this. I obviously didn't have them this good. I had the Jazz as a better team than them, which I actually won that one out. But then I think I had the Suns as like 7 or 6 in the West or something like that.
Yeah, I think we both did, because Suns fans still like tweeting us about it.
They do. They really enjoy that. Good for you guys. Have fun with the team.
That's part of the business, You got to have takes. And then
speaking of part of the business, today's episode. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, really? We have another one?
Go listen to Locked On Today. Great podcast every single day, giving you the sports news that you need. Isaac and I live in person in Dallas, Texas. More to come. Guys, thanks so much for listening to the Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom.